Okay.
Hey everyone, how you doing today? I'm Chris, and I have Judy with me today. And usually it's the other way around. It's usually Judy and Bill, but this time I was able to take Bill's seat and join you. So,
well, Bill actually sits here.
does he? Okay,
Yeah, but that's okay.
We'll make it work. And in the live studio audience today, we've got Michael and Melvin and Larry, who's already making big predictions. And I should say, not necessarily good predictions if you're an Ohio State fan, but we'll get to those here shortly.
Yeah.
So Judy, what are your takeaways from the sports weekend?
Well, the Masters.
You want to start with golf?
Yeah, we might as well start with golf. Get that out of the way,
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's the winner?
Dustin Johnson.
And
Johnson.
Did he set a course record?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I've got the. Sorry, I have to read this. Let's see. Yeah, second ever major win. 4 under 68 to take home his first green jacket. He finished the 2020 Masters at 20 under. That's a tournament record that is 2 strokes better than the previous tournament record held by Tiger Woods.
I was going to say, I imagine Tiger Woods probably held that record.
Yep, Tiger Woods in 1997. And I didn't know this, and Jordan Spieth, tied the record in 2015.
Okay.
Yes, you can't forget about him.
Congratulations to Dustin Johnson. That's awesome.
Yeah. He got, and Tiger Woods helped him with his green jacket. Tiger Woods was there. They always have that celebration. Where
I think the previous champion.
Yes, he holds the jacket, the previous, and then puts it on, and So that was really cool. And last year was the big year. Tiger had a comeback.
Tiger's big comeback.
Yeah, that was it. That was a very exciting Masters.
That was very exciting. I don't watch a whole lot of golf, but I do take time to try to watch a little bit of the Masters. And Dustin Johnson he pretty much ran away with it.
Yeah.
He had like a 4-stroke lead. Actually, I got 2 trivia questions for you.
Okay.
One is Dustin Johnson is married to a famous hockey player's daughter. Can you name that hockey player?
Wayne Gretzky?
And he was a really great hockey player. Yes.
Gretzky.
The great one.
Yes.
Wayne Gretzky. Dustin Johnson is married to his daughter.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
And a little more trivia I learned about the Masters this week was there's a gentleman who he did not win. Mm-hmm. His name is Cameron Smith, but he set a record.
Yes.
What was that record? Do you know?
Bogeys or?
No. Okay. He had all 4 of his rounds were all under 70. So he shot 4 rounds in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
And nobody in the history of the Masters has ever shot 4 consecutive rounds in the tournament in the 60s. And shockingly, he didn't win.
Usually we shoot that well.
You shoot like that, yep. So I'm assuming, I didn't look at Dustin Johnson's scorecard, but I'm guessing he probably had a 70 or 71 and the rest were in the 60s to win by the way he did.
Yeah,
but,
that's what it said.
But kudos to Cameron Smith because 4 rounds in the 60s.
Yeah.
Anywhere, let alone the Masters, is quite phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. It has here Cameron Smith. He finished
second? Okay.
Second. He was 15, was under.
If you click on Dustin Johnson's name, does it give you his 4-round scores? No. I was just curious to see. Okay. That's all right. I was just curious to see if it says it. But I'm guessing he probably had a 70 or 71 because to shoot 20 under, you got a.
Yeah, here it is. 72.
Oh, he had a 72 in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the rest of his rounds had to be like 64, 65, yes. I'm guessing.
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
I know. We're going to have hockey here soon.
Yeah, and Cameron Smith came in second.
Okay.
And then
M was third, I think.
Well, actually, Cameron Smith and Sanjay M, they both tied for second.
Okay.
But Justin Thomas finished 4th.
And I think he was one of the favorites.
Yes, he's a big favorite. And Rory McIlroy was up there. He was number 5. He finished 5th. And Brooks Koepka. That's the one I can never remember his name.
Okay, because
7.
he'd struggled this year.
Yes,
where
very
he
much
was
so.
same with
Yeah,
Rory McIlroy. Not that he
Yeah.
necessarily struggled, but I don't think they've had quite the years that
no,
they expect to have
no.
as compared to years past. So
Yeah, so and Webb Simpson, he was at number 10.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say Jim Nance, look out, because I think Judy might be coming for your job. She's pretty good with her golf information.
I used to have a stepfather who loved golf. He loved golf. He was a hardcore golfer. He would go in the wintertime and play golf. He had these orange balls, so he could find it in the snow.
wintertime.
Yes, he was a very hardcore golfer. And when he came along, he was so excited about and passionate about golf that, it made me, have an interest in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So for him, I boned up on my, golfing, and I learned the terms and, double bogey and an eagle and par 4. And I learned, the pars, if it's a 1 under par, and, what all that is. So I could talk with him.
I love golf. On my bucket list, I would love to get a hole in one someday. I've never done that.
Yeah.
Closest I've come was about that far.
Oh.
And it was actually at a charity event, and it would have been for $10,000. But it would not have been deserving because I hit like a low line drive that was ugly looking, and it just happened to roll the right distance onto the green. And then when we drove the cart up, I was like, I have a terrible time telling how close a ball is to the flag or the pin.
Mm-hmm.
And we got up there and we're getting closer, and I was like, wow, that's much closer than I thought. And then before I knew it, I was like, wow, I came that close to a hole in one.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of those at least yesterday.
Yeah, there's usually a couple in that tournament.
Yeah. If you're wondering, where Tiger placed, he was 35.
35, that's not bad. I'm sure he's not happy with that, but I would trade places with him for 35. Hey, Michael.
I got to show you what tennis player was known and very highly known back in the day. Black 1990.
What tennis player, African American, was very well known back in the day? Would that be Arthur Ashe?
Yeah.
He was quite the tennis player.
Yeah. He was a good one too.
I was a big Arthur Ashe fan, and I was a big Yannick Noah fan.
Yeah.
And I also liked Ili Nastasi back in the day.
Oh, wow.
For some reason, I always kind of like and John McEnroe. I always kind of like the bad boys of tennis for whatever reason.
There was another, before the two African American sisters came on.
The Williams sisters?
Yeah, it was another woman, Billie Jean. Remember Billie Jean?
Billie Jean.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She was quite the player. Well, I'm guessing our audience is here to talk some football today. You ready to talk some football? If you're ready, I'm ready.
He's ready. He was.
That's Joe name. He gone.
So where do you want to start? Which team?
Back in them days, the Green Bay Packers. They was known. They was getting a bad good reputation.
Well, before we go back in the day, let's start with yesterday. Where do you want to start with yesterday's game? Nothing to say about yesterday. I know Melvin does, because Melvin had a prediction about the Bengals whipping up on the Steelers. Did that happen?
No, I thought it was around the second quarter, but then I got to thinking, well, here they go again. The corners. Number 24, I forget his name. The Phillips is out. That was out the corner. Number 23. But number 24 just kept kicking on him, and that's because he kept getting the play. He wouldn't even watch where the ball was coming at. And when the end zone, he turned around, the guy already got the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
No, that was Pittsburgh stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that part.
Our
star player is on the injury list. You know who that is? That's AJ. Ain't he on the injury still on the injury list?
No, he's playing. He's playing. Yeah.
He was playing yesterday.
Yeah.
He overthrew him 2 or 3 times. And then we did throw him. He threw him between two corners.
Well, let me get. I got 2 quick comments. Number one, I want to give a shout out to Linda. Thanks for your information in the chat. And I saw your note that Tiger took a 10 on a par 3.
Yes.
And I had heard something where he had
Yes.
put it in the water. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 times, something
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It was.
I did
it
not
was
get to
bad.
see the
It was-
videotape. So
What
it's,
is it? Quadruple bogey or something?
I have no idea. Let's see. 3. Oh, Linda's correcting me here. We
Yes.
got 3 times in the water.
Yep.
And wow, I don't know how many bogeys that is, other than that's a -7, which
Yeah.
my math doesn't go that high. That's more than a triple bogey.
It's more than a triple bogey. It was like a 5,
But I think they said it was the
7 bogey.
highest score he's ever had on one hole.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, he set that record.
I mean,
Highest score on one
I
hole.
get a 10 on a hole about twice around when I play. So.
I never played actual golf. I've done putt golf.
Even then on putt-putt, I probably get a 10 every once in a while. It's you think it's not possible, but I end up in the water 2 or 3 times on putt-putt.
Wow.
Going back to Melvin, though, with the football game, you mentioned A.J. Green. So yeah, in yesterday's game, A.J. Green did not have a single catch.
I know, that's what said he kept throwing it in between, and he kept that's how come I'm saying like, the offense and defense coordinators in the South was not helping the players, the Bengals. And that's when I said, like, I'm through cheering for these guys because they're not even trying to help them to win. He did it 3 times in a row. When he sent Bernard out, he threw sharp passes where he couldn't get him. And then the other ones is over his head. And like I said, like, hey, a college quarterback, don't make them mistakes. They are that accurate. You see what I'm saying? I got thinking like, hey, you doing that intentionally? Then I got putting it together. I said like, hey, wait a minute. They're gonna take you out of the game because you're gonna get hurt.
That's what he almost did.
As I say, once the score gets to what it is, they shouldn't have him in there.
Right. Take him out.
Take him out. And too
And
many
save
coaches I see.
Take him out. Save him for another day.
That's what I was glad to see in the. There was a game. Yeah, Finley should go in there.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
The Bengals get new players. It's always got to be. This is our problem sometimes. Either a penalty or we just don't have a good defense.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's
He had two penalties that cost him a touchdown.
yeah. Well, I will say the team this year, it is and really you can say it's almost every year, for the most part. It has to be a successful combination of all these things. You have to have general manager who's successfully drafting and signing the right
Yes.
players.
Yeah.
You have to have the right coaches who are
Yep.
putting guys in the right places, but then you also have to have the right kind of athletes who have the skill and the talent to play. And they just don't have all that together. They might have a little bit of this here and a little bit of that there, but they're not a complete unit. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, that is a complete unit. There's a reason why they're 9-0.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the Bengals had good coaches. They had Sam, who got us to the Super Bowl. And, okay, we got rid of Marlon, even though he made all that money. We finally got rid of him, but he wasn't too bad, though. He was okay.
Well, did you see him Saturday? Marlins? Arizona. That's where he at.
Yeah, he's helping the coach out in Arizona.
Arizona.
He's like an assistant, like a consultant to
Yeah.
Herm Edwards out there.
Hmm.
So who else you want to talk about? Is there more on the Bengals, or you cover it?
No, I want to cover just a little bit.
A little bit more? Okay.
I said like this, I said like, they all get together and play collect the ball, like they want to win. They would patch up them areas like they did when they played, what is that,
Tennessee.
They patched up all areas. Their defense was superior, everything. But they start falling apart in the second. So I just stopped right there. I started thinking about it. After we went to the third. I got thinking like, that's what it is right there. You got a coach that came in as just a coach. Then it found out that afterwards that he the one that's calling all the plays. So every time they lose, he always say, well, that's my fault. You know, because he be sending plays that he be anticipating a positive result. You know, like you run Bernard, you think he'll get the 5 yards, but he get 20. You see what I'm saying? Like that. So I say, that's the problem right there. So I say, I'm gonna put rooting for them. So I got the schedule. So I said, I'm gonna put rooting for them, right? But they play Washington next week. Washington just barely got beat yesterday.
Yes,
So they're gonna play hard against the Bengals.
It should be a good game.
You know, so back in the day, the Bengals used to lose a lot of teams before they got to that Super Bowl thing. We really kind of gave up on them back then. And then when they got to that Super Bowl, that's when all that encouragement came about. Yeah, get back on that, get back. And then the encouragement just failed when they lost twice.
Well, here's my I'm going to give a shout out to the Steelers because we were talking about how you got to have all these pieces together. So I'll give you an example of what the Steelers do. Okay, so they identify, the front office identifies, hey, our defensive backfield is weak. We need some help. A couple years ago, they go out and they get Joe Hayden. Last year, they traded for Minka Fitzpatrick, who's the best safety in the league. And now that defense is, if it's not the best, it's one of the three best defenses in the league. But that's a front office identifying the strengths and weaknesses and the needs of that team. Okay, and then guys get hurt. Okay, what happens? The coaching staff has groomed guys to step in and fill in when guys go down because the Steeler offensive line has had some injuries. You wouldn't know it when you watched them play yesterday because they could pass block at will against the Bengals. When they wanted to run, they could run the ball, and they are able to coach guys up to step in because a lot of times you hear these teams say, we got all these guys hurt. Bengals have used that excuse in the past. That's not an excuse. You have to have guys that are ready to come in and play and step up because in football, people are going to get hurt. And it's up to the front office to identify guys that can be developed, and it's up to the coaching staff to develop those guys. When you look at like last year, San Francisco, all the injuries they had, and they still went to the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost their left tackle for a while. They lost guys on defense. They lost other guys on offense. And you don't hear them complain. It's the next man up mentality. And, and I will give the Bengals, we gave the Bengals credit when they beat Tennessee. All those offensive linemen were hurt. I didn't think they had a chance. Those guys did step up. They did it for one game. They got to be able to step up consistently and do it on a consistent basis. Yes, Melvin.
Okay, just like Dallas Cowboys. They're a franchise. They're a big money team, right? Did you see how they patched up the Cowboys? They patched up all the areas that they needed for those 4 players. And they almost whooped Pittsburgh. But if you look back at it, they show you their rerun, there wasn't no roughing, no passing. Everybody just fell back on them. And I just wonder how come they could just take it and just put it aside like it wasn't that. But I like the Pittsburgh because I want them to go ahead and win that. What does that be? That'd be 7 or 8 Super Bowls because New England got 6, counting just Brady.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh has
No, they got one more game.
6 as well. They have 4 with Chuck Noll, 1 with Bill Cowher, and 1 with Mike Tomlin. So Pittsburgh's got 6.
They got more than New England. If you count Brady, then Brady will have 6 by himself.
Okay.
Well, okay. Now I like Pittsburgh and everything, but that game I know I said like Dallas Cowboys put some money in that game because they passed up there. They pulled out some college people. As a matter of fact, they had 2 players in the game who wasn't even signed. They have to say it over the air. So I don't know how they do that. But you can see the difference in it. Pittsburgh couldn't run the ball on them. They couldn't do nothing on it. And you tell me that there's another team out there that's just like Dallas, who Pittsburgh gonna play next week. I bet it won't be like we think.
We'll see. I still think the best team in the I think the best team in the AFC is still the Kansas City Chiefs. We will see. We will see.
Arizona and Miami.
Miami, no joke. I'll do that.
Man, look, them little quarterbacks run over everything. But he got a similarity to them guys. But I think they're a little more younger, am I right?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. They're a little more faster, a little more accurate, especially on the left hand. He was running this away, look. He was running away, he just stopped and threw the ball like he knew exactly. He must have looked at it like, that's what a left-hand quarterback can do. He got the advantage of the defense.
Yeah.
Kenny Stabler
Yeah.
Remember?
Oakland Raiders, yep.
But I must say, I don't want them to lose, but I want you to see the difference. They play just like the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, we're gonna switch gears for a minute. We'll come back to football. Got a little note from Linda. I appreciate the update. So it was called a septuple bogey, which was his highest score ever on a hole. So Linda, thank you for sending us that, because I had no idea what a septuple
Me either.
bogey would be.
No, I haven't even heard of a septuple.
No, I'm with
I've
you
heard
on
of
that.
a triple bogey, but you're doing really bad.
I
if
think
you have a triple
quadruple is as
bogey.
high as I've heard of.
Yeah.
And I've had quite a few of those. So.
Yeah.
All right, Larry, we're going to come to you for some college football. So the Ohio State game against Maryland was canceled. But we all know that Ohio State was going to win that, right, Larry? No? Who did you pick? Because I missed last week's show. Was Ohio State going to win, or was Maryland going to win?
I wanted Maryland to win.
You wanted Maryland to win? Well, I know a few of us that were rooting for Ohio State.
Mhm.
So they've got a big game this weekend. They play the Indiana Hoosiers, who are undefeated.
Oh, wow.
They beat Michigan State 24-0. So Indiana's for real.
Wow.
So Linda, if you're out there listening, give us a prediction or a score for the Ohio State-Indiana game. I'm just curious to see what you think. Larry, do you have a prediction?
24-13 Indiana.
24-13 Indiana? Okay. We'll see. We'll see if Linda sends us in a score as well. I'll be curious to see what she thinks. My guess is she's going to have Ohio State winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ohio State's going to win, but I think it's going to be a close one. I think I'm going to take Larry's score but reverse it and say 24-13 Ohio State.
No.
So we'll see. We'll see. I'm also interested in the UC Bearcats. 55-17. But I think the thing with UC. Oh, wait a minute. We have always OSU and Linda's alums. So Linda, give us a prediction. What do you think the score is going to be in the Ohio State Maryland game? So shoot me a score online there, and we'll compare to next week. No, this was Ohio State. I was just responding to Linda for a minute. So UC, I'm not sure who UC plays this week, but they won 55-17 over the weekend. They are now ranked 7th in the country. And I am curious to see if they can get up a little higher.
They're going to close it down. They're going to play Michigan. That's when they're going to close it down.
That's who Ohio State will. But UC still got, I think, a couple more games left. Yeah, actually, I'm going to look up the UC schedule for just a minute and see what we got here. Because I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to finish. Yeah, let's see here. So they have, they just have, it looks like might only be one more game left. No, I'm sorry, there's 3 games left. Central Florida, and then they play at Central Florida, so that could be a tough game. Then they play at Temple. And then Larry, the last game they play Tulsa. At Tulsa. The last 3 games are on the road, it looks like. Times are to be determined. So there's no walk in the park for UC, but if they win those 3 games, I think that makes them top 5 team, because some of those top teams are going to lose between now and the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that puts UC in the top 5. Whether it puts them in the college football playoffs, that's to be seen. But it would be, I think I'd love to see them in it, but I don't know if they're quite ready to play at the big boys yet. I mean, they played Ohio State. Was it last year they played Ohio State? And it was pretty bad, wasn't it? So, I think we could give them a better game, but I just don't think we're ready to compete with the Ohio States and the Clemsons of the world. But I don't think we're too far away. Maybe next year, the year after, I think we're going to be right there with it.
Ohio State ready to play Notre Dame?
Ohio State? Ohio State can play with Notre Dame. Yeah, easily.
I want to Notre Dame to lose all season.
So we'll see. Notre Dame's still got some tough games. Linda says Ohio State 35, Maryland 17. And Linda wants to know if we saw the Buccaneers 98-yard touchdown run and
Ronald Jones.
the also, well, I want to see who saw the DeAndre Hopkins catch to win the game. Let's talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a minute. So Buccaneers played the Carolina Panthers, and they put a shellacking on the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Tom Brady, after having probably the worst game of his career, came back and had
Best
one of his
game.
better games. Three touchdowns, over 300 yards, and the old guy even ran for a touchdown. I shouldn't say the old guy, the middle-aged guy.
Old guy.
Old compared to football age. At least I guess he's younger than me, so I must be the really old guy.
That's a good one. 98.
98 yards.
Touchdown.
So
He didn't look like he was too old because he didn't seem like he was slowing down, but everybody was chasing him slowing down.
the guy from Carolina made a mistake. He shouldn't have dove for him. If you watch, the guy from Carolina was closing on him and should have just run another 5 yards. And I think he could have put his arms around his legs or his waist, but instead, for whatever reason, he panicked and he dove, and you never dive for the ankles like that. You're never going to get them.
No.
And so he broke that tackle and ran 98 yards. Linda tells us it's the third longest run in NFL history. Who knows what the longest run is and who had it? Anybody know?
Wasn't it,
What team?
Dallas Cowboys.
was it,
It's against the Minnesota Vikings back in the 80s. Yep.
I think I know who it is. I don't know his name. But I think
was it Herschel Walker?
It was not Herschel Walker.
No, it wasn't him.
This guy was a star running back at University of Pittsburgh in the 70s.
I can't say it.
Tony Dorsett.
Oh,
Ah.
He had a 99-yard touchdown run.
Yep.
Cowboys right there.
If you ever see highlights of that Tony Dorsett run, it's like the Minnesota Vikings are like in slow motion. It's like I felt like if I had been out there, you could have had 3 or 4 opportunities to just like either knock him out of bounds or actually put a hit on him. But these guys, it was like he was invisible, and it's like they didn't want to touch him. And he just kind of made his way. 99-yard touchdown run. It was it was a great run. I give him credit for that.
You got a player like that, and they let them get through like that. They scared to touch him.
That's what it looked like. It almost looked like they were scared to touch Tony Dorsett. Now, Ronald Jones was the runner for Tampa Bay. Derrick Henry had I think like a 98-yard run last year. So, well, I'd be scared to touch Derrick Henry too. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. I wouldn't want to put on some shoulder pads and hit him. I might be willing to put on shoulder pads and maybe try to tackle Ronald Jones. But I sure as heck aren't going to get in the way of Derrick Henry. Oh, I know.
Mhm.
And actually, even if I put shoulder pads on, Ronald Jones would run me over too. So who am I kidding? But Derrick Henry is a big man, and he is a fast man. He's a man among boys out there when he's running.
Mhm.
And Tony Dorsett was fun to watch. He just kind of glided, very smooth. I think he's like silky smooth. He wasn't like overwhelmingly powerful. He was fast, but he wasn't like, super duper fast. He was just smooth and great vision.
He was a quarterback player back in the days of Green Bay, ran a long yard. I can't think of his name. He's a big old dude too. I can't think of his name.
Which team was it? Do you remember which team?
I think it was either Green Bay or something like that.
Okay. Well,
They had a couple of star players on there too.
yeah, they've had some good players throughout the years. I do want to touch upon the Cleveland Browns. As much as it pains me, I should probably wash my mouth out with soap for saying the word Cleveland Browns, but
Yeah. Being a
but
dog.
but I want to give them credit as well. They are now 6-3,
Yeah.
and I did not think I didn't think they were going to beat Houston, even though Houston's not very good this year. Houston was starting to play better, and Romeo Crennel was coaching, who had some ties to Cleveland. I thought Houston was going to go in and win that game. I give the Browns credit, and I think they got a big boost because Nick Chubb came back. And did Did anybody see what Nick Chubb did in that game? Okay, so Cleveland's winning 10-7, and I think there's just like about a minute to go, and it's like third and 8, and Nick Chubb gets the toss, and he goes around the left side. He gets the first down. He's running down like 40 yards, 50 yards, and he could have run into the end zone to make it 17-7. He stopped at the 1 yard line and stepped out of bounds, so that all they had to do was take a knee and win the game that way.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and I think he watched and learned from Todd Gurley, who actually ran the ball into the end zone for the Falcons early in the year, and the other team came back and won. So yeah. So Melvin, what do you got?
You know what? I was looking at all the quality and talent that he got into that league. I stop and think. Was that last year, or year before? 9-6 team couldn't even get a wild card. You know how come? Because everybody was in the wild card position. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh going to win the division. The next in the line is going to be the Ravens, and the next is going to be Cleveland. But somebody will have to play each other twice to get a deciding factor on who will get the wild card. You see how you got all that time you got?
Yeah.
6-3. They all might just finish like a 9-7.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. They could all finish that way.
Win the division. They already got home field advantage. See what I'm saying? And they might get a bye. So it's going to be the Ravens and the Browns.
Yep, they're going to. I think they're going to get 2 of the wild card spots. Although
But you only can get one out of the division.
No, the division can have 2. You can have 2 from the same division. It's happened before. There was a time when the Bengals, I think Ravens and Steelers all were in the playoffs together. So you can have 2 from the same division. It's hard sometimes because those teams are usually beating each other up. So that's why, like I say, Cleveland's 6-3 right now. But, they still got to play, I think, Pittsburgh and Baltimore again. Then they're going to have their work cut out for them because they got to win those kind of games. 2 of those wins for Cleveland are against the Bengals, so that's 2 of the 6 wins. I think they beat they might have beat the Jets earlier in the year, and they beat Houston earlier in the year. So it's not like they're beating like top-notch teams, but I give them credit. They're beating teams they're supposed to beat, and they're at 6 wins. I'm talking about the Browns.
Browns.
Yeah.
Browns, you can go back to the days of Jim Brown and all that. The Browns, they had a pretty good reputation back then.
Yep. You're going way back. You're going back to, 60s and 70s there.
That's when they really at their peak.
We're going to change gears for a minute, and we'll talk. I got a little note from Linda about some baseball.
Oh.
And I don't know I think it came out this week about the MVP awards. Did you see who won the MVP awards in baseball?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's okay.
I know. I'm bad. I should know that.
We've got MVP awards, and we also got the first female general manager of the Miami Marlins.
Really?
Which is really cool. Yes.
First female general manager.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know her background. I've not seen the full story.
Is that one? She got kind of short hair.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this for a second. Judy, can you entertain the audience for like 30 seconds while I look up our female general manager for a minute?
Okay, what do you want me to talk about?
Talk whatever you want. I have a feeling these guys could do talking for 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let me see what we got on our first female general manager here.
That would be great.
What's that, Mel?
First.
Listen to that this morning.
Did you?
It was about a matter of her sister or her mama calling somebody, and she telling them like it made her the manager of the team. But you're good, Joe.
Let's see here. I'm looking it up now.
The
'Cause I did
Marlins.
hear the story, but I did not get all the details. Okay, so the Marlins hired Kim. Now, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's NG is her last name. As the first female general manager. And that was 2 days ago when they hired her. She's a longtime baseball woman. It was a hire 15 years in the making, or was it 93 years, they say. But but it's been 15 years since she first interviewed for a general manager position in baseball.
Wow.
But it's been 93 years since the first time since anyone was hired by a pro team as a general manager. What's that?
She broke the record.
Mhm.
She's that's impressive.
Yeah.
She broke the record. Because usually, if they had anything like to be a male.
So she is crossing barriers that
Yep.
transcend. Yep. I mean,
Uh-huh.
She set a record.
Oh yeah. She's gonna be in the boys'
it
club.
says here. It says a significant example for the millions of women and girls who love baseball and softball. Said Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred in his statement on Friday. So congratulations to her. That is phenomenal. So congratulations, Kim.
Yeah.
Well, yep.
Even though you expect it, though, but they can be changed, the boundaries can be set.
It's not to get political on things, but when you think about a lot of times if you listen to too much TV, people feel like we haven't come very far in a lot of ways. But when you really truly look at it, we've come a long way. You've got Barack Obama was the president. You've got Kamala Harris is looking to be the vice president.
They haven't settled that yet.
It hasn't been settled yet, but that's why I said look. That's why I said looking to be. She's looking to be the vice president.
I'm sorry, it's going to be Trump.
I think it's back in the 60s, 70s, 24. When it started off, it was a black president, right? And look what happened. You had a black president in the United States, it's Obama. Then they came back with another TV series episode of it. And guess what that was? A woman president.
Yeah.
And look what you got now, vice president.
Well,
not yet.
When you look at sports, you've got women who are now assistant coaches in the NBA, which is very neat to see. I don't know if you watched the New England-Baltimore game last night. Bill Belichick was all upset about some call, and who went over? There was a female referee, and I was like, "Oh, I hope she gives it to Bill." And she explained what happened, and you could tell he was mad. And then it didn't matter because the next play, Baltimore fumbled the football anyway. But it's just great to see.
Wow.
This transformation take place in this country, which is wonderful. Yep. As far as the awards go, so there's something significant that happened. Cincinnati Reds, oldest team in baseball, have never had a Cy Young Award winner until this year. Trevor Bauer won the Cy Young.
Get out.
And the Reds have never had a Cy Young Award winner. I thought maybe Tom Seaver had won it. When we traded for him, he came over. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, the Reds have always been a hitting team.
Yes.
You don't hear about great pitchers, but you hear about all the great hitters. Not that we haven't had really, really good pitchers. We have.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
But to have the cream of the crop, the elite of the elite, we've kind of missed out on that a little bit. But until now.
Cy Young winner.
So, now, the bad news is he's a free agent. So this may be our 1 year of bliss with him, and he moves on. But you never know. He's an interesting athlete in that, I think he said he's only going to sign 1 year contracts. And because, I don't know the exact reasons. I think part of it was, I think he says that he wants to earn his money every year. That if he has a year like this, he deserves $50 million a year.
Yep.
If he has a year like maybe he did a couple years ago, then maybe he's more of a $10 million pitcher. But, I'd be curious to see now he's won a Cy Young. Does he do a 1 year deal or does he sign, 4 years, $200 million or whatever some of these guys, Garrett Cole of the Yankees is getting?
Yeah.
AJ Green is if I have to look into my crystal ball, which would be this camera here, that's the closest thing I have to a crystal ball. AJ Green is not going to retire, but I don't think he'll be back as a Cincinnati Bengal. He's a free agent. I think he'll probably move on, and they'll move Auden Tate into that position, or they'll draft somebody to slide into that position. Yeah, only AJ knows what he's going to do, and only the back. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a dance. If Judy and I want to dance, I got to want to dance with her. She's got to want to dance with me. Otherwise, we're not dancing. Same goes for the Bengals and AJ Green. So we'll just have to kind of see what happens here when the season's over. I know Freddie Freeman won the MVP in the National League.
Yeah.
And Shane Bieber won the Cy Young in the American League.
Okay.
I don't know who the American League MVP was for baseball. Larry, do you know who won that award? American League MVP?
I'm not certain.
What's that?
I'm not certain.
You're not certain? Okay, I'm not sure either on that one. So we might have to look that up and come back with that for next week. Or maybe, Linda, if you're out there, take a look and see who won the American League MVP. That's the one that we're not. Oh, you know what? I do know who it is.
Who?
Jose Abreu.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he won it. And I'm kicking myself because he was on my fantasy baseball team. And you're only allowed to keep 10 guys, and he was number 11 on my team. So
okay.
I didn't keep him, and he goes on and has a great year.
He did have a great year. That was great.
So, yeah, it was I'm just glad to see we were able to get baseball in.
Yes, definitely.
We're gonna switch.
It's important.
It's definitely important. We're gonna switch gears for a minute. Now that I'm back, I always like to jump into my wisdom of Wooden, and I like to share a little blurb from John Wooden, whose values and virtues I just think are just extraordinary when you think of men of character or people of character. He's at the top of the pyramid. He was an incredible human being. So I know last week I mentioned, or 2 weeks ago when I was last here, nothing is stronger than gentleness. And he was talking about how he would get mad at these mules that they had on their farm. And, no matter how loud he yelled at them or whatever, they were not responding to him. But when his dad would come in, and even in a gentle voice, he'd get him to move along. He learned from that lesson that even a stubborn mule responds to gentleness. And so, I thought that was a great example to share. I'm going to just mention, we shared an example from his father. This little piece is from his mother and what he learned from his mom. So let me just read this for just a minute here. So it says, "My mother, Roxy Anna, had a hard life living and working and raising a family in our little white farmhouse outside Martinsville, Indiana. She did the washing, scrubbing, ironing, cooking, mending, and canning with no electricity and no inside plumbing. She did it all herself without any modern conveniences, while helping with the farming and bringing up 4 rambunctious young sons. At night, during the heat of the Indiana harvest season, Mom would offer us cool slices of watermelon as we sat out on our front porch looking up into the stars. She gave me my first basketball, a wobbly thing sewed together using rolled up rags she had stuffed into some black cotton hose. My dad nailed an old tomato basket with the bottom knocked out to one end of the hayloft in the barn. That's how I got started playing the game of basketball. Each day, my mother demonstrated great patience and the ability and eagerness to work hard. Not just work hard, work very hard without complaint. I learned from her what hard work really means and that it's part of life. Hard work comes with the territory. She always knew what had to be done, and she did it. My mom provided a model for how to do my job regardless of the particular circumstances." So, I think the lesson there is definitely you work hard, and you just, when there's a job to be done, you just kind of put your head down and you get it done. And that's what he learned from his mother. And clearly it worked for him because he won all those national championships many years ago. So that's my little piece on John Wooden for today.
Oh, well, that was very insightful.
So any final thoughts? Anything you want to share? Or anything the audience wants to share before we wrap it up?
Yeah,
What's that? What final thought?
I'm talking about football, man.
Uh-oh, you're going back to football. What do you got for me?
We playing cheap, right?
We're playing the Redskins. Well, I guess they're not the Redskins anymore. They're the Washington football team.
Oh,
Correct?
oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Politically correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
My eyes said, if Bengals can lead off without making any penalty and don't have a sorry, poor, lazy offense, we can pull it off. With the team, we'll lead off. And they figure us out. with the sneak attack thing we did, and they come back on us. If we can pull this off without messing, without any penalty, because every time we get ahead and we lead, get a couple penalties against them, that sets us back. Or even the defense is slow, and that sets us back. But if we can pull this off without any penalties and any slow defense, we can pull these games off.
All right, so we'll wrap it up with a little vote. So Michael thinks we can pull a sneak attack and beat the Redskins. Melvin, Bengals or Redskins? I should say Bengals or Washington football team.
I'm not gonna make no.
No prediction. He's gone silent this week after the Pittsburgh one. All right, we're not going to hold you to that. You sure? All right, Larry. Bengals over Washington. Judy.
I think the Bengals over Washington.
Bengals over Washington. I think.
I'm just putting in a fair judgment. They can do it, but it seems it's just that every time. It's just like that game yesterday. They knew they could have pulled that off. It'd have been other games they could have pulled off too.
I'm going to say Bengals over the Washington football team as well.
Yeah.
So on that note, we got 1, 2, 4 for the Bengals, 0 for the Washington football team. Mark it down. We'll be back next week.
Yep.
And everybody have a great day. And
All
Linda
right.
and everybody else out there watching online, thanks for joining us.
Okay. Bye.